Justin, can you hear me? Mm-mm. No, not yet. Oh, we got time to figure this out, so we started a little bit earlier. I'm gonna turn on the lights. Justin? Justin? Still no mic? Can you at least hear me, Justin? Thank you, Michelle. Michelle, can you hear both of us? Oh, here you go. Justin. Yeah. Mm-mm. Mm, say it again. What does it say? Try to do room ID. Room ID? And then I'll try to give you the room ID number. Or any other options there? Oh, my team just sent me the code if you need it. Mm-hmm. Not yet. Mm-hmm. All right. We're almost there. All. Just give us a little bit of time. Nice crowd today. Nick Wilson. How are you, Nick? Michelle, thanks for jumping in. Ashley, thank you. Anna, Alyssa. Wow, you guys are awesome. If you can hear at least me, I know Justin is jumping in. Can you drop yes in the chat? That would really help me a lot. For those that can hear me. Thank you. Thanks, Michelle. Thank you, Lisa. We know Justin does this all the time, the podcast. So he'll be in a second. How are you all doing? Michelle, Elisa, Ashley, Nick. This is Wednesday, right? How's your Wednesday going? Nice, working from home. That's awesome, Alisa. Keep doing it. Ashley, drop a note. No, Michelle, drop a note. What do you guys use working from home? Oh, say hi to Dr. Lair too, Alisa.
Now can you hear
Justin.
me?
Yeah,
Hey. Yeah, I had to abandon the computer and go to my cell phone.
got it. Got it. Well, we can see you. We can hear you.
What else do we need?
Well, you know what else do we need this week?
Well, I should have some fun. I got coffee this morning instead of you like my coffee mug?
Yeah,
Instead of
it's a cool mug. It's a cool
yes,
mug.
sir.
What is up, Justin?
Oh
Last time
man.
you and I were chatting, it was all good, business as normal. I think I was in your office in Arizona. We did a podcast. We jumped in. We talked about your trip to Russia. Now I'm on the other
Yeah.
side of the pond, and here we are talking completely opposite.
Yeah. Well, we got to find ourselves have a little free time on our hands, I guess.
Yeah. What was your reaction when this whole thing went down? I mean, I know we went from, and you and I didn't have a chance to collaborate or chat about what's going on and things like that. But like, just walk us through the last 2 weeks. What went through your mind? And I know you're like, you're always optimistic. You're super pumped about things, and you have a full schedule. You're always busy. And what went through your mind? Like, we went from it's impossible to shut down to like, boom, we're out.
You know, from a guy that owns, multiple dental practices, a nonprofit, I sit on the board for that nonprofit that you've been to in Phoenix, and then the teaching institute. The dental practices, the governor's all shut us down. So, the process of shutting your practice down for an indefinite amount of time is, it's stressful. And, there's the two things we have. We on the human side, being a human, we want to take care of our employees. Like, we want to make sure that they get paid their bills and are safe and stuff. And I remember going in there, last Friday, it's when we closed down, and I just said, hey, listen, is everybody okay? Does everybody have a roof over their head? Does everybody have enough food? And everybody said yes. And then the next step was like, hey, listen, it's not a problem then. We have we have a little change, in what our normal is for now, and we'll have a change in the normal forever, going forward from this. And I explained to them that I have a plan to get us to the other side, regardless of how long we're shut down. Part of that plan is that I got to let them go so that they can collect the maximum they can from unemployment or whatever else, because conserving my cash and my credit line is not, for a while I thought it was selfish of myself, but the selfishness is, my standard of living and what I do is completely different. I'm no longer taking a salary. I take a draw to cover my bills, and that's exactly, that's it. I put my mortgage in deferment. I put, as many things. My landlord, my Arizona landlord gave me 6 months of deferment. Now
6 months?
6 months, and I told them that I said, hey, listen, if I don't need 6 months, I'm not going to take all 6 months. And what a good human. I think we've run into some good humans. I haven't found anybody that isn't that. And landlords are tough because they may owe money on that building too. Like it's it trickles down. Whether you like trickle down economics or there's something to be said. But what I think is, if I survive,
Something is happening, Justin. I can't hear you much. Yeah, I think everybody's jumping in to say, is it just me, guys, that I lost Justin? Yeah. So people saying they can hear me, but we were losing you for a little bit. So right after you said about the landlord, what a great human being, and then we lost you, and I think that was important that everybody wanted to hear.
Oh, after that, I told my team that as long as I emerge from the other side and we can open for business again, everybody gets their jobs back, and we'll pick up and move on from that point. If we burn through our cash and try to satisfy the human in us, and keep everybody the same as it was, then we run that risk. And I tell you what, I've never had 20 people hug me for firing them before, but how you navigate these uncharted times is how you lead your team, and how they can see what what's important to everyone. So those are just those are things. So for me, I also look at this as a great opportunity.
Justin, can we just, sorry to interrupt, but we've had so much discussion about the how. When you say it's how you navigate it, it really hit home for me, because can we talk about it? Like, what was your conversation with the team when you had to walk in and obviously you delivered a bad news, but it's not a bad news. You didn't create the virus. So it's a tough news that you had to deliver. So what were your words? How did you say it?
It really wasn't that difficult, because I walked in and I said, well, as many of you know, the governor of Arizona has, closed our practice, as effective 5 p.m. on today. I said, so we're going to finish up business as usual today. We're going to stay. We're going to deep clean the clinic. We're going to do a few things to open up. I said, but what I do know is that when I walked in there, I had a printed sheet of exactly how to file for unemployment in the state of Arizona. I had a printed sheet of my contact information, my email, my cell phone, because not all my employees have that information. And I said, the most important thing that we have is, I asked them all, I said, do you have a house? Do you have a roof over your head? And do you have food? And if you have those things, then there's not really a problem. Nobody's going to get foreclosed on. Nobody's apartments are going to throw them out. Food, shelter, family, it's not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a problem. And if you as a team leader, if you panic, if you've got doom and gloom in your voice, then your entire team hears doom and gloom, and that's the only thing that they'll ever touch. Or if you walk in and say, hey, listen, we have some great opportunity here. Some of you have a great opportunity to spend some time with your family that you haven't had before. Will probably make you appreciate coming to work more later. But you have an opportunity to be with your family. You have the opportunity to maybe do some spring cleaning, do some things around your house. For me, that opportunity is, how do I emerge from this stronger, better, faster than I was before? I've been spending my days creating new content. My lecture PowerPoints going forward they're going to be almost all brand new. We're working on our new session 1 modules, working on some new courses. I look at it as like, these are all things that I've wanted to do for a long time. And I've never, the busyness of life just pushes them back. And today I was like, hey, I have no excuse. I got 2+ weeks of sitting on my ass. Let's create and let's put something, let's do something better. I wasn't, I don't have a whole bunch of, online stuff ready to go. I'm not super creating stuff, because the truth of the matter is that no one should be spending any money. I'm going to come out with some stuff next week that's going to be completely free. Maybe some implant education, webinar you get some CE for, and there could be any fee for this. Like that's ridiculous. There's no reason for people to try to capitalize on this because it's really not a competition thing. All these dentists, they think that we're in competition with one another, but you're in competition with yourself. And make yourself better. Show up to work a new person. Don't show up to work like, oh my God, I got to do so much dentistry to get my bills paid. No, you don't. Like, how about you start over and do things you want? I thought about you initially too. I was like, man, I want, what has this done, for Tiger's business? And then I look at it as like, what a fabulous time to tell people about, hey, what about revisiting, your supply chain and how you bring stuff into your office at this point? Like one of the things that all of our offices are doing is just exactly that. We're cleaning, we're doing inventory, like finding out exactly what we got, culling broken instruments, like all the things that, you ask, I go through all the extraction kits and the instruments that are broke, like, instead of opening it up 4 or 5 times, knowing that instrument's always going to be broke, how about getting rid of that thing? Like, so, you can look at this however you like. But for me, let's emerge out of this a little bit better.
Exactly. If you guys don't mind, whoever is listening, I see that there are a lot of people. Just drop in the comments if anybody is doing spring cleaning, like while this downtime. I know some offices are probably different regulations. Somebody will have to be completely shut down, not able to see the office, but just drop the notes. I'm curious who's doing spring cleaning. But I would literally want to give you a virtual hug right now, Justin, because just what you said, about the team and using the time, like I absolutely love how you approach things, and we need to work together. We can't just be like, whatever is and start slashing things left and right. Like it's a perfect opportunity. And I think it's the mindset that I wanted to try to extract from you and share with everybody, that that mindset that you have of like using the downtime for things that are going to be important. Yeah, I think we're losing you again.
Can you hear me again?
Mm-hmm. Now it's a little better. It's coming back. Still bad. Still no Justin. Mm-mm. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. It's coming back. I can definitely hear the keyboard or something that was there. Organize cleaning carpets. Nice to have some time to do this thing. Yep, Elisa, I totally agree. I'm just reading the comments right now. We're doing spring cleaning, going through products, making sure nothing is expired. That's a perfect timing to get rid of expired products. Absolutely. So there. And by the way, Irina on my team, let's get Elisa on one of these calls that we're going to do with our offices. Let's talk specifically what the team of Dr. Lair is going to do, Julie Lair. Michelle, stay-at-home order. So there's no. Yeah, that sucks. I'm sorry, Michelle.
Well, I think that's going to happen for everybody. And the truth of the matter is, let's just stay home and let's stay home for a couple of weeks and then go back to work. I think whether. Obviously it'll depend on a little bit on what the virus does, but whether you like him or hate him, I think some of the truth in the business part of it is, what the president said was like, hey, like we can't be down that long. This country is not it's not designed to be able to do that, and the ramifications of being down too long are we run the risk of a depression. Not a recession. Mm-hmm. Like I lived through 08, 09. Like it was bad. I remember in 08, the stock market was 7,200. Now it's still at 20,000. So it's not 100% doom and gloom. But if we don't go back to work at some point, there's not a problem. But what we have to be mindful of, and for me, continuing to pay my ADA dues is going to be 100% dependent upon how the ADA's leadership navigates the next 2 or 3 months. Because currently, dentistry is being singled out as this dangerous place where you're gonna get all these diseases and things because of this aerosol. Well, you know what? Like, our places are as clean as they possibly can, and there's no other way to fix teeth than the way we do it. So, so if we have to buy a different mask or whatever, like, there'll be changes in that for sure when their supplies get caught up. But like, the leadership needs to be telling the public that, hey, the dentists are out there to help and fix your health. We're not here to infect you. Like, there's no dangers of going to the dentist. But unfortunately, that is what I'm seeing today, is that the patients are scared to come see us. They think they're going to get the China virus from us. Like, come on, like we're safe. We practice PPE. Matter of fact, we've been washing our hands better than any other profession from day one. I'm not afraid of picking up the virus because, we practice what we've been taught. So, I think that the leadership is, how we come out of this as dentists. And we need to be really clear with our patients that, hey, we're here to help you and make you better. We're not going to make you sick.
Yeah, and I think to add to your point, I know that we have a couple of doctors. Dr. Farkas is here. Dr. Wilson is here. I know that
Farkas?
Dr.
Yep. Is that the Andrew Farkas?
Yeah. Maybe he can drop in the comments, say hi. Yeah. So, I mean,
the Andrew Farkas, who is the first he has the first mastership at the Implant Pathway. First dentist in the U.S. to take every one of our courses.
And he says, "What's up?" Yeah, he's awesome. I mean, he's been a long time Zen user. I love Dr. Andy. I love Karen. But we also have team members that are listening to this, and I am like, again, we're going to move to other subjects. It's this designed to be positive mindset. I always talk about it. It's not here to complain and say this is all going to be bad. So it's all going to be good. We're all talking about the positive stuff. On top of it, I understand, like, from a team standpoint, yes, it's a dental environment. We can't get the virus and things like that. But I also think that the team members are concerned how long we're going to be closed, and everybody's concerned around that time. And so I think one of the biggest frustrations that I hear from team members saying that like, at least if we have the timeline, because some offices are shut down till end of June, some offices are shut down till May, some offices shut down till end of April. So hopefully, like you said, if ADA comes back and start pushing back and saying, no, we got to get dentistry back in business because it's an essential service, and it's probably going to help not to send patients to the hospitals because hospitals already might be overwhelmed. So I don't know. I'm probably reiterating all the comments that I received, and I'm trying to think for the team members as well. I don't know if anybody's thrilled to be sitting home past middle of April and May. So that's just my take on it.
Oh, I think that what is Easter, the 13th of April or something like that. I think that if we're still in lockdown after Easter, I think that the doomsday sayers, going to start coming out of the woodwork. We're still going to survive no matter how long we're down. We're still gonna be fine. It goes back to, leadership. And if we don't find leadership at that federal or state level, then I'll tell you what, dentists and as a small business owner will step up and be leaders in their own communities. Despite what someone else says, like, it's going to require the dentist to step up in the community and just say, hey, listen, my phone doesn't quit ringing from emergencies and stuff because, you know what? Most of the things that go on in our office, I would say, depending on how big a hygiene team you have, like half of your practice, or part of your practice is preventative, which is good for your health. But the other half of the practice is restorative, which is fixative. Like we're we're fixing people's problems, and those problems didn't stop last Friday. Oh shit, like no more tooth decay, no more broken teeth, no more infections. Like that's gonna continue to go on, and it's stockpiling. And maybe some people won't want to do more expensive procedures because they're fearful of their money. I get that, but at the same time, being an implant dentist, at the same time, my patient's still going to hear from me that a dental implant is the only true tooth replacement solution. And even in this economy, one's got to figure out how to replace that tooth with the right thing, because I would never want the alternative. The alternative being going without, which we risk bone loss and we risk tooth movement and all the other things, not being able to eat, versus, you'd never do a bridge that would grind down your regular teeth, So the message has to be your intent on what you're going to deliver, your message to your team and your patients and your communities has to be crystal clear. And that is, like, we're not here to make people sick. We're here to make people better, and we've been doing that for hundreds of years. So don't be afraid to come to the dentist. If your tooth hurts, pick up the damn phone, and we're gonna fix it. So that's my take on that.
And obviously, more information comes out, we'll know more about this thing and how it's all going to play out. And obviously, the safety is going to be the number one thing. But also, we'll see how soon we'll be able to come back and start seeing patients, I would say. How do you keep yourself busy, right?
I did get up in time to do this. It's really strange to all of a sudden operate without an alarm clock. Some people are like, oh, you need to stay rigid and stuff. And I was like, nah, my day yesterday was, I woke up when I wanted to, which is actually about 7:30. I got up, made myself a little breakfast. I told myself I'm going to spend 20 minutes on my phone with social media. And you have to take social media today as an amusement factor. Do not go there for your information and content. Go there for amusement. Because you have right wing, you have left wing, you've got doomsday preppers, you've got people trying to fleece you out of money, you've got like all these things, and like, I don't know where in this country we lost the fact that if we don't agree with someone else's opinion, we can't like them. Like I don't know where we derailed with this. Like whether you're Republican or Democrat or whatever it is, like I don't know where we got off in that we can disagree and still be friends. And matter of fact, positive can come out of this, instead of like, if I don't sway you, then I can't be, we can't be friends anymore. Like it's so stupid. So I give myself a small amount of time with social media. Then I jump on. I get all my information from Twitter. I'm a Twitter guy. I like Twitter. It's my comedy as well. But once that's done, I hop on. I take care of my emails. I take care of my emails. I get on my study club. I do that thing. After that, I got one more webinar after this, and then I'm currently sequestered in Western Washington, not Seattle. I'm not in COVIDville. I'm out in Western Washington. I figured if I was going to get holed up, I was going to get holed up with my girlfriend Lisa. So we're hanging out here. She's a dentist as well. Matter of fact, she sees patients on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 9 to noon. Emergency patients, So she's actually she's at work, and so when I'm done with the webinar, it's raining right now. Imagine that in Seattle. So I'm gonna hit the Peloton bike. I've got a Peloton, and my goal is to not gain weight, but to lose weight over and be healthier when I come out of this as well. So I get
That's
on the
awesome.
Peloton for a little while. Yeah, and then I'll maybe make myself a little lunch. I'll go back, and I'm going to spend about 2.5 hours on PowerPoint and creating content for my team. And then we have a team call later this afternoon with Austin and a group of people with my office to provide direction and find out what everybody's doing, because my internal team, not my assistants and stuff, but my team at Implant Pathway, when we all sat down and I said, hey, listen, I'm going to take a 70% pay cut. Like, I'm only going to draw what it takes to pay my bills and buy just a little bit of food. And my team on its own said, we'll take a 50% pay cut and work our ass off for a month. And if we need to take a steeper pay cut in May, we'll do that. And when you have a team that comes to you when you have a team that comes to you with a solution, like that's the part about surrounding yourself with other smart people. Like, I don't know if that was Steve Jobs or whatever talked about, like, you don't surround yourself with smart people to tell them what to do. You surround yourself with smart people to have them tell you what to do. And that's what I've done, so we're busy. Like, we got so much stuff to do to get caught up. I think is a blessing.
There's one thing that I just wanted to come back to very quick. When you talk about the pay cut, it's interesting how you brought it up. And I think especially it would be great to get this message across to everybody, I would say, but more importantly for younger doctors that haven't been through the tough times yet, that this is the time to test your leadership. This is, in my opinion, when you're really gonna reap the rewards of all the hard work that you put in as a leader of the practice. And again, some practices, maybe office managers are the leaders, and it's the perfect timing for you to reap the rewards of your leadership. And I believe specifically in the tough times, I call them the war times, is when you see how the team is going to work together, how it's all going to shake up, and it's all going to come back up based on the foundation that you laid. And I think just how you approach the pay cut is, again, everybody's in a different position. Not everybody can afford to take a 70% cut. I mean, obviously you've been prepping for that, and that's a big part of it, knowing that the winter is going to come. And then you've basically laid out and you said, hey, I'm taking a 70% cut. It wasn't like, hey, we are all taking, without giving too much direction. You just said, this is what I'm doing. And that's pretty much it. And then the rest of the team jumped in, right?
Yeah, I didn't give a number to any of them. Matter of fact, I didn't ask them if they wanted to pay cut at all. Part of it, I knew that they would, part of me is like, well, I hope they would, but I knew they would, but no one had a problem with it. And one of the things, especially the young docs that are out there, this is their first go at some real adversity, as practice owners or even associates. And I learned this lesson the hard way in 08, 09 when we hit the recession, and that is cash is king. And if you don't, I know that you have student loans, I know these things, that you've got to have a savings account. Like if you don't have a savings account for these tough times, they really are tough times. And I learned in 08, 09 to try not to get out over my skis. I try not to, deplete my cash flow and things like that. So, and for me, the government pushing back the tax day to July, helps me too, because, not only was April 15th, pay your taxes for 19, but it's also the first quarterly estimate for 2020. And pushing those back, I've got that I had that cash ready to pay, and I can draw upon that cash, to help me get through this too. Because if this thing lasts until July, I can promise you they're not going to ask us to pay that tax in July either. And if they do, and you can't pay it, there's not going to be a penalty, because they, what I'm saying? So use common sense logic, through this thing. So what we will find, Tiger, when you get on the other side, is there's going to be a new norm in a lot of different avenues. Your new norm may be you put X percentage of your paycheck into savings. The new norm may be we have increased heightened PPE. Our new norm may be, nobody wanders around the clinic without a mask, or you don't let your guard down anymore.
And you're not trying to save on washing your masks?
Right. Like, yeah, you're not gonna like wear the same mask all day if it's a level one. You're not gonna use the same gown for multiple patients to save 50 cents or whatever. Like, because it's not worth it. So the new norm is the new norm. We had it after those of you that were in business. Well, I've had two events. In Nebraska we didn't feel it as hard, but 9/11 was a big event. And if you practiced in New York or whatever, businesses were closed for a while and so forth. But think about the new norm for travel after 9/11. Like we were all used to showing up to the airport 10 minutes ahead of time. Security was lax, all these things. And then since 9/11, we know that we have long waits. They developed TSA PreCheck to help with that. Now they have a product called Clear, which I'm sure you're familiar with. It helps you speed even through these even better. But now air travel, like you and I are pretty versed at air travel. That's the norm. I know what to expect, and that's how I navigate it, and it's not a problem. It's the new norm. We're going to have things like that. We don't know what they are just yet. Like we don't know what the new norm is going to look like, but there will be changes.
Interesting. So when the new norms hit, what's your take on this? Do you think it's going to hit as like a hockey stick, or are we going to slowly recover and see patients like slowly? What's your take on it?
I really think that's going to be practice dependent. I really do. I think it's going to depend upon socioeconomically where your practice sits. If you were already in a fairly affluent community and had a very affluent patient base, those people were probably would have had some savings. They're probably going to come through this, a little bit better. If your practice is, maybe lower socioeconomic, maybe heavy on PPOs, I think doing any work outside of what the PPO will pay for is probably not going to be there. So I really think that it's going to be dependent. You're going to hear stories about, how people, like they were busier when they walked in because they had this backlog of people. When you're going to hear stories about people like, hey, it's like I just opened my practice and, I'm trying to get new patients to walk in the door. And I think how you lead your team and how you lead your community, it's got to go back to what your presence is, how you are as a being in the way you present yourself back to the community and what it is. Like if you come out of the chute and do a bunch of cheesy advertisement and offer shit for free, like I don't think that's the route to go. But if you come back as because you don't want to cheapen the profession, because some people would tell you that some of the DSOs are already trying to race us to the bottom for that to begin with. I think what you're going to be best off is coming back as a leader and showing the community that your business is not only warranted but is needed, and you're the person to do that, to provide your community with the right dental work.
That's awesome. So one of the takeaways we're going to I wrote down, and I'm gonna probably put in the comments, is the new norm is gonna be that saving, so that the people start saving a little bit for the rough times and things like that, so that we start planning ahead of time, whatever that might be in the future. We don't know. Like that's one thing that's probably the way I look at it from a positive standpoint is there's not much we can do about either this happens or not. It's just what we do about it as when it happens and what are our actions and things like that. So moving forward, I think that's a big thing. How do you stay engaged with the team? What tools do you use, or how do you do you have daily calls, morning huddles? I know you mentioned you have a call with the team, but just like how do you start the call? Do you even talk about the news, or you just like go straight into the business and say, all right, this is our plan, this is what we're going to do? Just walk us through what's your conversation, and what the relationship, virtual relationship with the team.
Well, the employees that have been laid off, I've made a point to text them or call them every 2 or 3 days just to check on them, make sure everything is going well. And if someone didn't have food or didn't have something, like I would just help them. Whatever they need, I would just help them. It's not a question. As far as those that are still going to work, we never talk about what's going on. The only conversation we have about that is we do have a course in late April that we're kind of monitoring. It's a surgical course. We're kind of monitoring it. We're going to give it another 10 days to 2 weeks before we either say, yes, we're doing it, or no, we're going to pull the plug on it. There's not good information coming out right now, and we don't really know, we don't know if we're flattening the curve or whatever we're supposed to be doing. So, but our conversation is just about like the task list that we created and who needs what. Like for me, Chris was like yesterday, he said, he goes, hey, I need the audio files for module 1, session 3 by tomorrow. And I was like, okay, done. So that's on my list today, is create that audio file, upload it to Dropbox so that he can finish that module and stay on task. That's what we talk about. We talk about normal business things that we need to do. We before I left Arizona, we had a 3-hour meeting. We put down the whiteboard what we wanted to get done when we came back, and I said, hey, let's finish these before we come back and add to this list. And everybody was like, that's the way to go. So and it's kind of amazing. We've actually had we haven't had any dentists request refunds or anything like that for courses that coming up, because you still have to learn the skill. Like not taking this implant course, and getting your money back for this implant course, like that's not going to make or break you. And I'm here to tell you that adding implants to your practice would be the quickest way to add revenue to your own practice. Is to bring that skill set in. And there's some people, if you don't already have like cone beam CT, if you haven't bought an implant motor or implant kit, or some of the things that it takes to get implant dentistry into your practice, like probably never in your career will money be cheaper to borrow than it is right now. And so, again, it goes back to, everybody talks about, like, I know everybody's talking about, using this as an opportunity. Well, like, there's a lot of opportunity here. Like, if you were already going to grow your business and you were, like, going through SBA or whatever and trying to figure out how they're going to fund this, like, that's not going to be a problem. Like, I promise you, like, just like in those, I promise you there's going to be government programs to help us get, interest rates that are just crazy. I hope out of this that those, I don't have any student loans anymore, thank goodness. But I hope that out of this, perhaps, I'm not for loan forgiveness. Sorry if I offend anybody, but what I am for is no way should my student loan when I went to dental school and I got out was 2.2%. Not the 7 and the 8 and some of these crazy stories that I hear today. Like I would hope that the government would recognize this and say, hey, listen, let's refi these docs' student loans. Let's get them to these government supported rates down to like 2% or whatever it is, and give them a fighting chance to pay this shit off. So so I think there'll be, that's also leadership at the ADA and stuff that I hope moves forward. Is like, not only are we trying to get through this in the short term, but what helps us as a profession and an economy in the long term. And there's things like that, low interest loans to help you expand your clinic and buy equipment to provide better services for your for your patients. So it's all going to be good. There's no problem here. There really isn't. There's no problem here.
Yeah. Interesting. That's an interesting point. If we do take advantage of this, because we do talk a lot about student loans and how much debt dentists will have as soon as they graduate from a dental school. I mean, that might be an interesting discussion. 10 years from today, we'll look at this and hopefully we're having a drink and we're looking at this. What is a positive takeaway that we're going to look back and you're going to look back and say, all right, this was this, and what would that be?
Well, I think the positives, when you look back at this, however many years it takes for you to be reflective, and I think what people need to remember about history or the past is that its only purpose is to be instructive as how you move forward, because regret comes from when you take information or intel that you have today and you apply it to a situation that happened in the past. And you say, oh, I should have done this. I should have saved more money. I should have done these things. Well, you didn't, because you were making decisions based upon the intel that you have that day. So regret doesn't exist because you would make the same decision over and over because that's all that you knew. Now, when you fast forward and you look back on the past, you shouldn't have regret and waller in lost opportunity. You should look at it and say, hey, this is instructive. The past has told me that I need a savings account so I don't have to spend a sleepless night not thinking about this. I need to have a PP plan in place so that my team feels safe and comfortable, and my patients already know that was a safe environment. So the next time, the Australian virus comes, I got to pick on Australia, but so the next time the Australian virus, pops.
Yeah, let's not pick on any of them. We'll just.
The Russian virus, No,
Yeah.
It's like the next time something like that happens, we don't have a shut like this. Like we already have those things in place. So if we look at it as an instructive thing, then all the things that we make the changes for will be what we remember.
Yeah, so just being able to reflect back and make sure that it's an instructive event to prepare and have a better judgments and better decision-making system within yourself. Got it. You mentioned about the free implant course that you're putting together.
Yes, sir.
Next week with our people. That would be phenomenal.
Yeah. Anyone,
would that include the team members too?
Is there anyone that wants to take it?
Okay. Is there any part in that course that talks about or teaches specifically the dental assistants? Because I know that a lot of your courses you do have dentists that are coming with their dental assistants, and so I want my team members to get the value.
Maybe we should have maybe I'll do a two-part. I'll do one part just for assistants and front desk. Maybe we can make something that's tailored to them to what to do in the implant world. The teams are often forgotten, and I'm not yelling at the dentist, but we look at this as oh my God, I can't afford to bring my team to Arizona to do this thing, flights and hotels and things like that. But the problem is that we don't have the opportunity we don't have the time when we get back to try to teach our team what we learned. Like we spent 3 days in lecture listening to Moody, and then you've got a 10-minute morning huddle on Monday morning, and you're going to disseminate 3 hours worth of information into 10 minutes and try to get your team to implements. Like, that's not practical. There's nothing practical about that. So yeah, we'll make something. Let's make something for the team. I'll be happy to
That'd
do
be
that.
awesome. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Absolutely. And truthfully, I wasn't even. You have been a great help to me. I wasn't even thinking about the team, because everything that's out there right now is geared around the dentist. But the fact is, we should be instructing the team on what to do. I'm on.
That's one part I picked up visiting your facility and watching the surgeries going live. And I mean, I can't imagine having a productive implant case without having a really, really strong team member helping you and working together through the case. So to me, it's like it's given that any dentist that goes and takes the implant course should bring their favorite, maybe not favorite. I don't want to do all these words. I'm just saying you need to bring the team member that's going to work with you side by side, that you can train and you can be all on the same page. I mean, we all know what it's like when the instruments are getting passed to you without even looking. So that's the feeling you probably get if your assistant is attending with you the course.
Yeah, but I think that, and we're developing this course. It won't be until definitely won't be until 2020 now. But we're going to do a large team training event that we're going to bring in some communication experts to talk about. As a dentist, I don't want to worry about what the message my front desk is delivering over the phone. I don't want to worry about the message that my hygienist is delivering, in the 50 minutes that they spend with the patient. I don't want to worry about what my assistant is telling the patient about implants before I enter the room. Like, that message has to be the same across the board. And if we couple that message with, finance options and patient education and make it easy for them to do what you want them to do, then implementing implants and having that win in your practice is really easy to do. So that's our goal. And I have to tell you, I am lucky to be where I'm at, because early in my career, I did take the time I brought my whole team out to Detroit, Michigan to an implant course that I took. And at the time, I was young, and I was like, oh, this will be a great party. Most people work for me, not far from my age. So many of those people, 20 years later, still work for me. And that message they've been disseminating for 20 years about dental implants is how I got where I'm at today, Tiger. That investment I made, and I've taken them all over the country, since then. But that message that my team portrays every day in my practices about dental implants and about me is why I'm here today. Because, I'm probably an average dentist at best. But my team makes me look a hell of a lot better than I am.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Well, Justin, thank you so much for coming out and giving some value to our Zen members. We do want to utilize this time while we have the time to slow down a little bit, and I appreciate you providing the value. We'll reach out to make sure we can get a link for the implant course that you put together next week. And just overall, I really appreciate what you do. I know a lot of things that you mentioned today we all have our own point of views and our own personal opinions about things, but I know you have a big heart and you always want to provide value. Just the fact that we do see right now a lot of free CEs are coming out and people charging this and that. And I don't want to judge anybody. Everybody's have their own opinions and how they need to do things. But the fact that you have one of the most successful implant courses and you want to come up with a free CE next week, I think I admire that a lot. So thanks for coming out and thanks for taking the time to be with us.
Hey, I appreciate it. I'll get you a link for that. Anybody in the Zen Network, I'm more than happy to include them in our family as well. And hell, you've got the Grandmaster Andrew Farkas in this group, so you let him lead the way, because he's a phenomenal clinician. So, all right, guys, I got to run. Thanks for having me on, and I'll get that link to you soon.
Awesome. Justin, thank you so much. Stay strong.
You bet.
Thank you
Take
all.
care.
Thank you all for attending. Thank you
Yep.
for all the good questions. I see Dr. Farkas, Alyssa, Michelle. Thank you guys all. Thanks for who participated. I really appreciate it. Dr. Johnson jumped in. Wow. So maybe we should stay for a little bit here. Max, if you have a second, jump in. All right, so we're going to be ending this thing. And we have, by the way, for all who are still here, starting next week, or even tomorrow, all the live events will be CE. So you'll be able to get the CE hours for attending this thing. So stay tuned till the next one. Thank you all.